Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Star Wars CCG graded group update for September 2024. I am here, of course, with JP, and we're here to talk all things graded Star Wars CCG. So great, JP, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, and happy September to everybody.
Yes, I hope everybody's had a good summer so far. It's been a little quiet on the graded, and even sealed product sales have kind of been pretty low. I think people are feeling the pinch, or they're spending money traveling, as you should, doing other things. This is kind of a more quiet activity, right? But now we're getting into the fall. People are starting to think about this stuff again. But that's not to say there hasn't been some epic events that have happened over the last 30 days and things to look forward to as we look into September. Let's kick off with our contest as always. So the prior month, we had Starship and Pilot pairs. So we had a pretty good showing with that. And these submissions actually required me. I had to go through population reports and look through, do a little research to really get down, because some of these were pretty close in terms of who was going to take away the winnings here. JP, do you want to kick off who won the low ball? That was super competitive.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was a real tough one. And I'm telling you, I'm throwing you guys a bone out there. Usually my submissions, I won it, by the way. Yay for me. All you got to do is pretty much submit low ball and you beat me. I'm throwing 9s and 10s out there. But
the Japanese Tyree PSA 10 and Japanese Gold 2 PSA 9. I thought those were just kind of a cool pairing. I do like the A New Hope, kind of rebel pilots and their matching ships. Those kind of just are pretty cool in general. So congrats on that. But please submit your low balls. I know they're out there. We already did a low ball contest, and you guys showed some really weird stuff. So don't be shy to enter in that category. You might just win it.
Yeah, and hey, there's a big hint that sometimes the low ball is the best prize of the 3 competitions. So
that's generally how we kind of try and do it. Better cards are going to be low ball. All right, let's dive into unique. This was kind of interesting too. Ultimately, it came down to kind of grade population reports because these were both really cool submissions. But second place is going to Brian Christopherson with Royal Torsen PSA 8, population 1, and a Gold 3 PSA 9, population 2. And Taylor Armstrong took first place for this. It was a Jack Porkins White Border HGA 9.0, obviously population 1. Nobody else has that. And a Red 6 Black Border PSA 10, which is population 2. Ultimately, it kind of eked by with the grade being slightly higher for that. But those are both really cool submissions. So congrats on that.
Good job.
Now for the top category. I'm going to announce third place, but I will give second and first to JP to announce and why. So the top category, third place. Ultimately, this I had to kind of research between all the other submissions. But Andy Holbrooks had a PSA 9 Admiral Ozzel, which is a population of 2 with 5 total submitted, and it is the highest in there. And a PSA 10 Tyrant, which is a population of 2 out of 14 total submitted in that category. So that kind of came down to population and submission amounts. So congrats on third for that, Andy Holbrooks, and I'll give it to JP.
Good job. It's getting tougher and tougher. You guys are presenting some of the rarest cards that are being graded, so good job. Second place with an amazing showing, Serge. He had the Han Solo Japanese BGS 9.5 with a 10 subgrade. That's pretty impressive for BGS, and he also had the Falcon Japanese BGS 9, which was quad 9s.
Quad 9.5s.
Quad 9.5s. What did I say? Quad 9s?
Yeah, quad 9s.
Okay.
Quad 9.5s.
Quad 9.5s on those. So super impressive. Good job, Serge. You got second place. You were a 0.5 away from having a 10 on your Han Solo for almost having
that would have been insane.
If anybody ever gets the first 10 or pristine for BGS, that's going to be a gold mine for you. So that's a super hard task. I've tried doing it. Hasn't happened to me, but Good job for Serge, and the winner winning the gold leader in Gold 1 PSA 6. That's the prize for the top pair is Cam. And what Cam submitted was the Han Solo English version PSA 10, which is much harder to grade than the Japanese. The Japanese is much higher quality. And the Millennium Falcon PSA 10. There's only 3 that have ever been graded out of 104 submissions. And that's one of them. So we're talking super rare. If my stats are right on that, Kyle.
Yeah, Han Solo has a population of 5, but 121 have been submitted. So only 5 of those came back. And like the more that are getting submitted, the more rare that it seems to
right.
To become.
Both are lower than 3% or right at 3%. That's pretty impressive.
Pretty
That's such a low volume of those. And again, the English, the quality wasn't as good as the Japanese, but if you can get 10s, they're your top billing. So again, Cam, congratulations, first place.
Yeah, those were pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's been Premier PSA English Black Border has the most submissions in PSA with 2,242 cards as of this recording. And I'm sure that's going to continue to go up. I did take a peek at, Vader, but of course, Millennium Falcon, Han Solo, C-3PO, they all have a lot of submissions and very few 10s. So, I know we've seen them more than once, but what we're not seeing is the, hundreds of 9s and 8s that are out there of these. So I don't know if somebody's submitting every single one and hoping they get the high one, or if just everybody's taking a stab at it and only a few are getting by. But that just shows a lot on that card quality, how poor it was in 1995.
And goes to show too that if you have PSA, those matter now. Some of those might be, the very next highest grades that you can get. If you're putting sets together or you're putting, everything Darth Vader, maybe for Premier, PSA 9 is a great grade for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the other interesting sales recently, I think last night or the night before or something, the Vader Japanese PSA 9 went for $1,029, including auction and change. Wow. But those are, we're talking the mains here. I think what we're seeing is, the kind of a rebalancing of the really desirable and rare stuff to the commons, uncommons. We've seen some commons, uncommons, PSA 8 or 9 going for as low as a couple bucks, a few bucks. But some of these ones, that's not going anywhere. There's not going to be all of a sudden an influx of, 10 more 10s out there, immediately, right? I think we're going to see, if anything, a whole nother 50 come back, not 10, anything but, right?
Sure. And me personally, I use BGS for grading my personal collection, and I'm grading all the sets, and I've had 350, 370 submissions just to complete the Premier set. So those numbers aren't even included in what's.
And how many 10s do you have? How many BGS 10s do you have?
Oh, no, they're all, I've got a bunch of 9.5s. The whole set is it averages out to 9.28 or something like that.
So when it comes to the Japanese Premier, or not Japanese, the English Premier that you're grading with BGS, how many of the 110, 395s do you have? I'm guessing that's kind of the highest. You've probably gotten back on one of them, right?
I'll have to go back and check now. I was very strict on my inspection, so I literally opened up 33 boxes of Premier back in the day, and I only thought one Vader qualified, and the one I sent in came 9.5, and I said, I'm done grading Vader. Now I'm sitting on 10 or 15 others, but there's something wrong. There's a chip here. It's not centered, or the corners are too white. There's always something, but I only thought one Vader out of 33 boxes. So
that's the name of the game. What makes it crazy, because everybody wants one too. So very exciting. So looking forward to September. This is Cards with Destiny number 5. That will be the category. So it's going to be a lot of, I think Luke texted earlier, but said it's pretty much interrupts and like effects and stuff like that. There's like 443 cards that would qualify under that or something. I know he sent a text about that, but there's going to be some obscure ones. The only one that's kind of not obscure off the top of my head is R2-D2 from A New Hope. It's 2 or 5. Okay, that'll count. But everything else is, a lot of uncommons and just oddball stuff. So very curious to see what you guys pull out of the woodworks, if at all. If you have ones with 5, you might not.
Right.
So,
well, we were surprised at the low ball, all the stuff that came out from the woodwork and people's collection. So I know you guys have them. Look very closely, and I'm going to be very proud of this group because they're probably going to come through with all kinds of 5s.
Yeah, that'll be cool. October is non-foil locations and planets. November is droids. December is Destiny number 4. January is Stormtroopers. February, gambling, gaming, pod racing, Sabak. March, foil locations and planets. April, Destiny number 3. May will be devices and creatures. So you have plenty of time to buy, trade, and grade yourself to get into this contest. So looking forward to that. Moving on to Facebook group updates. I know there's not much, but do you want to just fill us in on how this last month has been?
Yeah, it's a super quick update. There's been no issues. I'd like to say since we've really instituted rule number 3 that you have to coin anything you're selling or auctioning. So that's been working great. We've had slow but steady growth increase. We've picked up maybe 4 or 5 and one person might have left, but we're still growing. Slow month. Hope everybody's taking some time off and vacationing and enjoying your family and your time. But we'll see how the rest of the year pans out. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's summer months. Expect them to be slow. Now we're coming into cooler weather, so things are going to shift back indoors as people think about their collections again. Good to know about the no scams and other stuff like that since coining, so that's really promising. This month for September is Pokemon and baseball theme for PSA submissions. I didn't see anything different on the Beckett website for any different specials or anything like that. But yeah, so if you have not submitted for August, which I hope you did, or at least squeezed it in at the end, but if not, then you'll have to wait another month or just pay $14.99 to grade. Big updates on Robert John. So I want to give a huge shout out. A few days ago, this man completed what might have been deemed impossible not too long ago. Not impossible, but very challenging, right? He completed a Japanese Hoth graded set, and there are a lot of top pops in there. So it's 162 cards in that set. He has all of them graded. He had a few multiples, so I know he sold off some of his lower grades or traded those. But there's only 246 graded Hoth Japanese cards total in the PSA set, so he kind of commands that category. So I'm personally, I was telling JP before we started this, I was like, I have a few loose packs. I might have to just open them, grade them, see if we can get better grades and see if we can improve that set. Like, it almost seems like a goal I'd love to see for him, continue to improve that set, see if he can get at least up to the 8s and 9s on some of those cards, especially some of the more common ones that we know are still out there, and he can improve on those. But wow, very impressive. JP, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the most impressive things, and my goal is to grade all the sets as well, and to see people that are completely grading the whole set that I haven't even started on yet is pretty impressive. That set has like 4 10s and just 4 6s. 6s is the minimum, and he's only got 4 of them. So there's a lot of 7 8s and 9s, which is great. So I'm gonna go out there and study it some more and see what its average is, and we're gonna showcase it. And it's a beautiful set. It's in his showcases. They haven't built a registry set for it yet because they're still got that closed down for accepting new publishers for new sets. So Hopefully when that comes out, there's not going to be much competition for Robert. That's for sure. So good job.
Yeah, no, I mean, the reality is, like, despite all these opening ripping videos, you almost never see Hoth Japanese stuff. There just really isn't that much product left. People are not willing to open up a box because if they're asking for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 for it, or Mark trying to squeeze by with 11,000, sorry, buddy, no one's paying that. I'm just messing with you, but yeah, there's only like a dozen or so of those boxes like outstanding. And loose packs, it's hard to get a figure on those, but you kind of have to whisper around and try to find a pack here or there. I think I picked them up just from conversation casually, like asking some people. They weren't posted. They were just hidden, or somebody was like, hey, I need the cash. Like, I have this. And maybe we touch base months later after I might have asked them. So I've just kind of gotten lucky, but I only have 5 of those. I don't know how many you have, but I know most people, if they do have an example of them, they probably only have 1, if at all, because some people don't care about the Japanese. But any of the most of the Hoth Japanese stuff is used for sets, right? But people have been passing them around, buying them, selling them. They've been in those old sleeve binders, so I would imagine most of those would come back 7, maybe 8 at best. Like, they're not going to come out clean, because no one's ripping new packs. Whereas I have the luxury of ripping new Premier Japanese, and you had a New Hope Japanese. There was a decent amount out there, right? It's not the case with this one.
Yeah, no, that's the rarest of the rare and the highest of some of the most. I mean, some of the rares in that set rival any other rares of any other set. That's for sure. I've only got 1 of everything for Japanese. So as I'm sending cards off, they come back, below my standard. I have to try to find it. So if I did that, that U3PO, and there was only 1 other example. It came back like a 6, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the only one I got. I went out there to buy another one, and it was like, didn't have a description on condition, and it was $79. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be painful. So,
oh my God. Jesus. Yeah.
And that was a New Hope. Yeah. That wasn't even Hoth. So, which I want to add too, while we're on the subject too, is that I've been putting together the New Hope Japanese, and it's a registry set. So it keeps track of, all your grades and how you're doing, and how far completed you are. And I just been cruising along, just kind of casually sending in cards. Well, there's another person named Steven. That's all he goes by, Steven. Well, he finally surpassed me. He's 53% done, and I'm only 46. But I've got a couple of submissions going in of 20 each that I'll add 40. But I don't know who you are, Steven, but I hope you're in our group, and I hope you watch this. And good job. Congratulations. Your cards are looking good.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Now it's interesting. So
yeah, it's a competition now.
Yeah, because I was asking, kind of what Robert John was going to do next. I was like, does this mean you're jumping into Premiere next? He's like, I've dabbled into it a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I know he has some that are higher population than mine, like a few. But I was like, that would certainly change things. It's just such a big set. It's so intimidating. At least a New Hope is, what, 120 car, 114 or something? 180. It's like 180. Okay, so it's like half.
Or 162. No. Maybe it's 162. Yeah.
162 would be exactly half of Premiere. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's right. I got too many sets going.
Yeah. But even that, I think, and I'm sure Brian Christopherson's also like dabbling in some of that stuff too, as these set completionists kind of come charging for your category. It'll be very interesting.
I think he's doing Tatooine right now, either Tatooine, maybe Jabba's Palace. He's a machine. His whole house, because his wife is helping him do this too. His house is like turned into a warehouse, and all he does is he just opens packs and grades, and he's got an assembly line he's going to surpass me pretty easy with how many submissions he does. He's unbelievable. We need to get him on an interview with him and his wife.
I think you're right. I definitely want to, pick Robert John's brain on that and Brian's on both these kind of endeavors and upcoming goals for 2025 of what they want to focus on. Because I think at least for most people. I don't know if we can dabble in multiple sets at the same time. Like that's a big financial undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to have all the sealed product already, kind of do that, then power to you. But it's not cheap, you know. Like you're not going to get all the grades back the way you want it. So you anticipate probably doing, you know, I would say 2.2 submissions for every card you probably want, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
to get kind of the grade you want. You know, it might be more for some, but you might get lucky in the first one. But for the most part, I feel like it's kind of been around that like 2.2, because there's somewhere I'm going to have to now like grade again for like a third time to try and get something I want, a fourth time. You know, those promos are like killing me, which I'm not looking forward to, but it is
Well,
what it
if
is.
there's no competition, then you have the best set. Problem is all of a sudden you start seeing people like now there's 10 graded and now he's got 25 and then 80, and you're like, man, I'm going to have to start going back to my lower grades and start improving my my lower grades to be better. And so that's the fun of the competition. And our jobs are to have the highest quality possible. They're within a low quality set. So good luck.
So yeah, super exciting with that. I hope we can chat more about that. As kind of our last issue here, I want to chat about the card show you went to. You mentioned.
Yeah. So I do have an interesting take on it. Is that I went to a card show. It's mostly sports cards. It was so much Pokemon. Probably every other vendor that was there was Pokemon. That's
Was this
all they did.
Collecticon? Was this a Collecticon near you?
Wasn't a Collecticon. It wasn't a con. There's a con coming up in October that I'm going to go.
Okay.
This is just, there's a huge flea market, which it's a great flea market. They require all their booths to have at least 80% real antiques. It's not a bunch of crafts and junk. It's a great antique mall. They have a huge room in the back that they have somewhere between 150, 200 vendors. And it's always good all the time. But I have been trying to call this guy because they have a card show every 3 months, I think, right on the nose.
Okay.
And so I've left messages, I've called, I've sent emails. I'm trying to get through, just return my call. Somebody talk to me. And so I went to the show, and a whole bunch of suppliers, the vendors, they recognize me. They go, well, aren't you a vendor? Don't you come here a lot? And I said, I'm always here. I says, but I tell you, I said, I'm trying to get on the other side of the table. I've been trying to reach out to the coordinator. And they said, well, it took me 2 years. So the supplier on the other side of the table, the vendor, he's like, it took me 2 years to be on their waiting list. I've called and I wasn't getting any call back. I went and talked to another guy. I said, I'm trying to become a vendor. He goes, you're going to wait a long time, because all these vendors here are all perpetual vendors that once you're in and you're on the list, you get a table at the next show. And it's one of the best ones in Springfield, Missouri. So I'm going to have to branch out and go to St. Louis or Kansas City or find another table somewhere. But I want to get our cards out, get on that list, and do it every 3 months, and just keep it in front of everybody, show the value and the fun in collecting it. And it is part of it. If Pokemon's all over the place in there, well, we can bring Star Wars. That's for sure.
I think you should post like top 10 all time and top 10 like of the month sales, like graded, and just have it in a little like chart or poster somewhere that is visible for people walking by, and they're like, whoa, it's worth what? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just as of right now. Like, take your pick, you know.
Yeah.
So there's something there. I think that would be very like conversation stirring.
Well, when I did it, I was too far ahead of the time. I think nobody was grading gaming cards. Nobody was definitely gaming Star Wars cards. And I had all the posters behind me, all the original banners and all those rare posters hung up. So it was it attracted people, and they're like, wow, I didn't even know that company existed. I didn't know it was a game. And so I was like, I was doing it, I can't remember, 2010 or 16 or whatever. But now it's like, I think there's so many people now that have heard of it, and it's time for them to take a look and go, holy cow, I can grade that card and it's worth whatever. So I think there's going to be an attraction to it.
Yeah. Yeah, the only card show I can think of on my side is that Philly card show, which is in October. But I'm always keeping my, ears out for another show that might be interesting to go to, Star Wars related. I I don't know why, like, it still seems like these graded companies, like when you look up categories of cards or things to search through, like even if you're looking through a showcase or set or something, like there's no like Star Wars category. It's like you got to go to like non-sport, miscellaneous, like random stuff. You know, it's like, what? Like, is this not a big enough IP? I'm like, it doesn't make
Right.
sense to me. Like, I get it's not like, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer needs its own category. Like, fine. But like, this is Star Wars. Like, it's just odd to me that like I find it hard to find other, you know, sets and cards and stuff and population report. Like, dude, that should just be easier. But I did leave a note on my last submission. I'm like, I'm gonna submit the set. Can you please add this to the registry set? You literally just copy the English one and just call it Japanese. That's it.
Right.
Easy. You know, you can do that for the other one. So but anyways, that's all I got. This has been a good update, and looking forward to the submissions for Cards Destiny number 5 contest. And if you have more to say, feel free to leave it in the comments.
Awesome.
Thanks, JP.
Thanks, Kyle.